Hi and good day. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Ryan, and in this video, I'm going to share with you a fundamental concept in math, particularly in algebra. And this is the lesson on integers. And in this video, I'm going to share with you some key definitions and vocabularies pertinent to integers. I'm also going to share with you some real life situations wherein you can observe or denote integers. And lastly, I'm going to zoom in on addition of integers. So to get started, what is an integer? Now, this is the basic question, and this is a very simple definition of an integer. An integer is basically a positive or a negative whole number and including the number 0. So in this definition, we have these three groups: the group of positive numbers, the group of negative numbers, and of course, we have 0. A more comprehensive definition of integer is that it does not or it cannot include fractions and decimals. It meaning it does not include the rational numbers. So what is a positive number? A positive number is a number that is greater than 0. And on our number line, we have 0 as our point of reference. The positive numbers are to the right of 0. So you have positive 1 being the first integer. You have positive 2, positive 3, positive 4, positive 5, positive 6, and so on. Now it can extend indefinitely up to infinity, meaning up to the largest possible positive number. Now notice that these positive numbers are located at the right of 0. On the other hand, negative numbers are numbers that are less than 0. So on our number line, if our positive numbers are to the right of 0, the negative numbers are to the left of 0. So we have the first negative number, which is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, and negative 6, and so on. Now, hint, if you don't see a negative or a positive sign on a number, that number is considered to be a positive number. Now, when do we work with integers in the real world? What what situations can be represented by integers? I'm going to give you some of the situations wherein negative numbers can be used. The first one is for temperatures that are below 0. So temperatures that are below 0 are denoted by negative numbers, and countries with extreme weather conditions usually experience negative numbers or negative temperatures. Another is that negative numbers can be used to measure places which are below sea level. So we have places that are actually or that lie below the sea level, and these can be measured with negative numbers. Another is that negative numbers can also be used to denote or to show debt or the amount or something that we owe. So if we borrow from a bank or a financing institution, that amount is considered to be a negative on our cash flow. Now, here are some words that can be used to represent positive and negative numbers. Okay, for the negative numbers, we have the words owe, below, loss, and debt. And for positive numbers, we have the words above, gain, receive, and increase. Now, there are several other words that are or that also refer to integers or refer to either positive or negative numbers. Another concept that is fundamental in the lesson on integers is that integers or numbers to the right of a certain number are considered to be greater than that number. So, as an example, I have here some pairs of numbers. The first one is I have -2 and -17. If we compare these two integers, which by the way are both negative, we should think of their location with respect to or on the number line. So in this case, -2 is at the right of -17. Therefore, -2 is greater than or must be greater than -17. Another pair is 0 and 22. 22 here is positive, and as I said earlier, positive numbers are always at the right of 0. Hence, 22 or 0 is less than positive 22. Next, we have -247 and -400. -400 is at the far left of -247. Hen- Hence, it is less than less than, or shall we say, -247 is greater than -400. Another definition or another concept is the concept of opposite numbers. Now, these are numbers that are in the same distance from zero, but they are just located in different directions. Okay, say for example, -3 and +3. These are a pair of opposite numbers. -3 is 3 units from 0, and +3 is also 3 units from 0. Therefore, these are two opposite numbers. Now, what do we observe with a pair of opposite numbers? Firstly, is that these two numbers are of the same distance from 0. Now, this distance, which is always positive, is also called the absolute value. So if we have -6 and +6, both these two numbers have the same distance from 0. So -6 is 6 units away from 0, and +6 is 6 units away from 0. However, their directions are different. -6 is at the left of 0, and +6 is at the right of 0. Now, there are four integer operations. Same with uh, the operations on whole numbers. So these are addition, subtraction, multiplication, and of course, division. As I said, I'm going to zoom in on adding integers. Now, here are the rules that we should follow in adding integers. Now, if we add two positive integers, our sum should always be positive. Again, if we add two positive integers, the sum must be positive. As an example, I have here +5 plus +1. Both are positive, so we simply add them. 5 plus 1 is 6. Therefore, the final answer is also positive, as the rule uh, implies. So we have our final answer is +6. The next rule is that when we add two negative integers, the sum of these two negative integers is always negative. As an example here, we have -5 plus -1. Now we can have uh, we can have this rule shortened, we can say that we just simply ignore the sign and we simply add the numbers. Since they have the same sign, add 5 and 1. 5 plus 1 is 6. But since both are negative, the final answer should be negative also. So the final answer should be negative 6. Then the next rule, which is rule number 3, is that when we add a positive and a negative integer, can be of these three cases. It can be a positive number, it can also be a negative number, and it can also be a zero. So when does it give us a positive answer, a positive sum? Now, when we add a positive and a negative number, what we're going to do is we subtract the numbers. We just ignore the signs, we just simply subtract the numbers, and our answer, after subtracting, will copy the sign of the number with the greater absolute value, meaning the number which is farther from 0. As an example here, we have positive 5 plus negative 1. As I said, we can ignore the numbers and we simply subtract because they have different signs. So we subtract 5 and 1. 5 minus 1 is 4. Now, which of these two numbers is farther from 0? Is it the positive 5 or the negative 1? Apparently, it's 5. And since 5 is positive, our final answer should be positive 4. Okay, another example. In this case, this is the other case. We have here still have a positive, a negative, and a positive. Our given is negative 5 plus 1. Now, they have different signs, so we simply proceed to subtraction. Ignoring the signs, subtracting 5 and 1, 5 minus 1 is 4. And here's the final decision. Is it a positive or a negative? Now, since 5, which is apparently farther than 1 from 0, is a negative, our final answer should be negative 4. Okay, the last rule in adding integers is that if we add two opposite numbers, so in this case, I have here positive 5 and negative 5, we still follow the rule. We're in which stage that we subtract the two integers since they have different signs. So subtracting 5 and 5, 5 minus 5 is 0. And since 0 is a neutral number, it is not an integer, no, it's not a positive integer nor a negative integer, hence 0 is our final answer. Now let's have a quick practice, okay? For my blind and visually impaired followers, I'm going to give you, or I'm going to read to you the given. Now the direction is add the given numbers. Okay, for number 1, positive 5 plus positive 6. Number 2, negative 3 plus negative 2. Number 3 is negative 6 plus positive 5. Number 4 is positive 8 plus negative 7. And number 5 is negative 9 plus positive 9. You can pause this video and check and answer, and then let's have a checking afterwards. Okay, let's proceed to the checking and let me rationalize my answer. For number 1, both are positive, so we simply add 5 and 6 to get 11, which should also be a positive answer. So 5 plus 6 is positive 11. Number 2, we have two negative numbers, negative 3 plus negative 2. In this case, we simply add the numbers 3 and 2, which gives us 5, and we copy the sign since both are negative, so the final answer is negative 5. Next is negative 6 plus positive 5. Now, in this case, one is positive, the other is negative, or they have different signs, therefore we need to subtract. 6 minus 5 is 1, and it's time to decide whether 1 is a positive or negative. Now, between the two, 6 is farther from 0 than 5, and since 6 is negative, our final answer should be negative 1. Number 4, we have positive 8 plus negative 7. Subtracting, okay, let's proceed to the steps. We need to subtract because these two have different signs. 8 minus 7 is positive 1, and since 8 is farther from 0 than negative 7, and 8 is positive, our final answer is positive 1. And lastly, you have negative 9 plus positive 9. So we have a negative and a positive. We subtract 9 minus 9 is 0. Hence, the final answer is 0. I hope you learned something from this video. And if you do so, kindly hit the subscribe and like buttons. See you on my next video. Thank you and God bless us.